The wires that control the vacuum to your front diff, see where the two hoses go down there? That's what engages your front axle and lets your drive shaft freewheel. There's two little solenoids here. They're color coded, so you can't mess it up. There's a green one and a blue one, and there's a green and a blue wire. So when you are in four-wheel drive and you press the four-wheel drive button, both of these solenoids get power. Okay, when you are in two-wheel drive, they are in the unpowered state, and the front diff unlocks probably by a spring. So what happens is when these things get powered, you press four-wheel drive, it moves a little selector in there and it locks in your front differential. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply add an interrupt. Both of these switches are going to run through this nice ARB switch, and when the switch is closed, you'll have normal operation. When the switch is open, no power will go to these two solenoid relays, and it'll keep the front end unlocked, effectively giving you two-wheel drive low. Yes, you'll be spinning your drive shaft, so I wouldn't recommend driving this all the time, but it'll come in handy for low speed maneuvering when you want low gear, but you don't want the front wheels powered where they're locked to the rear, reduces your turning radius, etc. So I think this is a nice mod to do. I could mount this switch up here. That'd be the really clean thing to do, but as you know, I'm pretty lazy, so I'm going to mount it somewhere right in here. That way I don't have to run the wires as far. So we got the two-wheel drive low mod complete. This one is objectively more work. I did it by soldering and heat shrinking. You can see down there. So both the blue wires, which are the hot wires to the solenoids, I cut them and put a switch in between. I need to get a better switch. Right now I'm using two switches. That's all I had. Let me get a double pole switch. But anyway, so each of those reds goes to one side of the same blue wire, and all these switches do is they interrupt power to those relays. And now we're going to test out if that accomplishes what we want, which is two-wheel drive low. So we'll put this into low range. We'll start the truck up because we need vacuum for the system to work. All right. And now we are in four-wheel drive. And this tire is freewheeling. Now if we flip our switches, it should lock in. Look at that. So now you see the CV axle over there. See how the CV axle is turning now? Now we're in four-wheel drive. And I flip both my switches. And now we're in two-wheel drive. So the drive shaft and the transfer case are all doing their factory thing, right? They all think we're in four-wheel drive. I'm keeping the front end from locking in. That's all I'm doing here. I'm interrupting the signals to the front differential. So that's two-wheel drive. And then four-wheel drive. Man, all the vacuum output stuff in this truck works really well. So this mod's a lot more work than the rear diff lock mod. I think it's worth it for me, my use of the truck. You might not need it. I like to be in the lowest gear possible whenever possible, to not, burn up the clutch and things like that off-road. And with larger tires, this will come in handy because now you can do two-wheel drive low and you have rear diff lock up to whatever RPMs, so and whatever gear you're in. So yeah, when I put bigger tires now, this is going to come in real handy. All right, so testing out our two-wheel drive low mod. We're in low range here. The truck thinks it's in four-wheel drive, but we're interrupting those signals. And now we should have super high torque with super high maneuverability. Feels pretty good. Haven't had to give it any throttle to back over that shock. That was fun. And usually if you were in four-wheel drive there, it'd have been really hard to steer because there's no center differential, right? Oh yeah, we are in low. Demonstrate the difference between two-wheel low and four-wheel low. So we're in low range, first gear, and we're gonna try to do a U-turn on this little street, and then we're gonna put it back into four-wheel drive, and I'm gonna show you the difference. So, can it do a U-turn on a two-lane road? Let's see. All right, did a U-turn without going in the grass at all. That's pretty outstanding. Let's see what happens when I lock in four-wheel drive. All right, so vacuum went and locked in the front axle. Right at the edge again. Let's try to do that same U-turn. Oh man, it's hard to steer. And we're up on the sidewalk. Neighbors are mad. Good mod. That's gonna come in really handy for like towing a trailer or something like that where you want the low gear but you don't want four-wheel drive. All right, so I'm finally finishing up the two-wheel drive low mod on the Hijet. The switch came in and I just had to basically hook it up to the wires. I already had the wires running out of there. So when the switch is in the 0 position, the off position, it disconnects the wires, which will keep the truck from engaging the front axle lock, which will make it effectively two-wheel drive anytime the switch is in the 0 position. When we go to the 1 position, that'll connect these two wires, allowing the truck to operate as normal, engaging the axle lock, giving you four-wheel drive. Pretty simple. I didn't need to use a switch that was dual throw, but I bought a bunch of these on eBay because I like these switches and I need them for something else, so it'll work fine. This 2 position over here won't do anything. That'll be that would be the same as having it in the 0 position. So basically, this position is two-wheel drive always. This position is two-wheel drive always. And if you want four-wheel drive, you got to press it this way. I just cut a hole in front of the shifter using a heat gun and a razor blade, and this will pop in here, and then I'll route the wires a little nicer, probably back underneath this guy, and then I'll have two-wheel drive low. So basically everything else will work normal in low range. That'll just interrupt the signals going to the front axle lock to keep that freewheeling, which will give me to a low, which will come in really handy. Also got these new tires in. I went with a 155 12. I got really good tread depth and they're E-rated, so that'll be nice. El Jefe. And I've got some tire chains and a bunch of other good stuff putting on this thing, and a lift kit soon as well.